welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really powerful idea from Ralph Waldo Emerson, but we're looking at it through the lens of our modern, super noisy world. It's all about self-reliance, how to find and actually trust your own voice when it feels like a million other things are trying to shout over it. Let's get right into it. So, does this look familiar? I mean, that feeling of just being buried under the weight of everyone's expectations, your job, your family, your social feed, you name it. It's this constant, relentless pressure to be, well, someone you're not. But underneath all that chaos, there's always this quieter voice, that gut feeling, right? That little instinct. Emerson just called it our own honest thought. And that's what we're gonna focus on today, how to finally turn up the volume on that voice. Okay, so first up, let's just lay out the battleground here. It's a pretty fundamental conflict, right? It's all the noise coming at you from the outside versus the quiet truth that comes from within. Just take a look at this list. It feels so now, doesn't it? Trending hashtags, the algorithm, influencer lifestyles. But what's so wild is that even though the sources of the noise have changed, the core problem is exactly the same one Emerson was talking about almost 200 years ago. All of this stuff is basically designed to drown out your own intuition. And this quote, wow, this gets right to the heart of it. Emerson saw it way back then. We have this tendency to dismiss our own thoughts just because they came from our own heads. We wait for some expert or someone more qualified to say it first. I mean, think about it. That is the absolute definition of imposter syndrome, right there. So, we've laid out the problem. What was Emerson's solution to all this noise? Well, let's unpack this incredible idea at the heart of his work, self-reliance. Now, this isn't about being arrogant or just ignoring everyone. It's about changing your primary source of authority. It's this radical decision to trust that quiet inner compass more than you trust the crowd or the trends or the so-called experts. It's really about having creative integrity. And this is a total redefinition of what genius even means. Emerson isn't talking about IQ scores or some innate talent. He's talking about courage. The courage to believe that your own private thought could be true for everybody. What he's really saying is that trusting yourself isn't just some feel-good platitude. It's the very foundation of anything original. But what happens if we don't listen to that voice? If we choose to conform instead? Well, there's a very real cost to that. It's not just about missing out on a few good ideas. It's about what you actually lose of yourself along the way. And the contrast is just so stark. I mean, look at the column on the left. Conformity is exhausting. It literally drains your energy and blurs who you are. But self-reliance? That's generative. It connects you back to your own power. It reinforces your soul, and it unlocks the originality that only you have. Okay, this is a huge one, especially in our age of personal branding. We're always told to stay on brand, to be consistent, but Emerson calls this a hobgoblin of little minds. He argues that a truly great soul has nothing to do with consistency. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to change your mind and contradict what you said yesterday because your soul has evolved today. And guess what? If you do evolve, if you do speak a new truth, you will be misunderstood. It's guaranteed. But Emerson completely reframes this. He says it's not a failure, it's a badge of honor. I mean, think of all the greats, the artists, the inventors, the visionaries. They were all misunderstood because they were saying something new. Their greatness wasn't in being popular, it was in being true to themselves. All right, so this all sounds amazing in theory, but how do we actually start living this way? This next section is all about turning that philosophy into real, concrete action. It really just starts by giving yourself permission. Simple as that. Permission to change, even if it confuses people. Permission to be misunderstood, even if it feels a little lonely at first. And maybe most importantly, permission to trust that feeling in your gut, that first instinct, without needing to pull the audience first. This really all boils down to a fundamental shift in how we live. So much of our lives, especially online, can feel like one big performance, right? Self-reliance is about deciding to step off that stage. It's about finally closing the gap between the person you're performing as and the person you actually are. So this is how you find your own signal in all that noise. It means stripping away all those external questions. What'll get the most likes? What'll make my parents proud? What does my audience expect? And you get down to the only question that actually matters. You just have to ask yourself straight up, what must I do? And that brings us to our final and maybe the most freeing idea of all. learning to embrace your own journey, especially when it doesn't look like anyone else's. Emerson has this incredible way of putting it. He says a truly original life isn't about finding the right path that someone has already carved out for you. That's not creating, that's just imitation. It makes its own trail. So if your path feels a little uncertain or uncharted or totally unfamiliar, that's not a sign that you're lost. That's a sign you're actually creating something new. You are literally making the path by walking it. And you should never, ever underestimate the power of that path. Emerson truly believed that one person living their deepest truth could become a force of nature, powerful enough to define an entire era. He's saying that your one true, authentic life has that kind of world-changing potential. So we'll end with this. Emerson's work isn't really a map to follow, it's more like a mirror. It just reflects back to us the power we already have inside. In a world that's just full of copies and trends and echoes, your life isn't original. So the only real question left is the one right here. What will you create?